It's time to start Dishin Days with your hosts Tony Moore, Michael Mattis, Justin Lee Hareld, and Araceli Aviles. And now, let's dish.
Hello, everyone. I'm back, baby.
She's back, bitches.
I'm back, bitches. Hello, everyone. It is a very nice, cool Sunday, February 26th, 2023. Welcome to Dishin Days. Filling in for Tony, I am back. Araceli Aviles. And over here we have.
Hey, guys. Justin Hareld.
And over here we have.
Michael Mattis.
And Matt, you guys really missed me, huh?
Yeah, we did.
We had really quick shows,
Yeah.
especially last week. It was
Yes.
very, very quick.
Yes.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Last week's especially. The week before, I think we went a little more in depth.
Yeah.
Last week, we just kind of ran through it, and we're like, okay, that was the week of days.
You
Yeah.
guys would have missed my screaming
Okay.
at the stupidity last
Yeah,
week, the week
yeah,
before
I'm-
last.
I'm glad you're back with this week because I think this week was much.
Yeah, this
better
week was
than
pretty
last
pretty
week.
decent. It was very focused on two. I noticed when I was writing the rundown, I was like, oh, it just kind of was very focused on two main
Mhm.
stories this week, but there were a lot of people involved in
Mhm.
a lot
Oh,
to
yeah.
unload in both of them. But
Yes. And I will announce it here because I will encourage everyone to hold me accountable. Guys, for Lent, I'm going to try to give up yelling. I'm going to try.
you work with children. That's impossible.
I
Yeah,
work with
yeah.
well here's the thing. It's like I don't see there's 40 days from Ash Wednesday to Lent to Easter. It's 40
Mhm.
days. I'm already having to give up meat on Fridays. That's killing me.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah.
really, really difficult.
So one at a time. One at a time.
And my priest was talking about like it doesn't count if it's not something that's really a level of self-control. Like it's gotta hurt. And I kept running through my head like, okay, I'm already giving up my arm strength. Giving up wine and chocolate is absolutely not happening. So what can I give up that's gonna really take a lot of my self-control? So I'm gonna give up yelling, and I'm hoping it'll start because we don't really have birthdays in the next month, so I don't get to see my nieces that much in the next month. So I think
so maybe you have a chance.
I have a chance, I think. but
funny.
also here, I have our audience to hold me accountable.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, no, Dylan, you're supposed to be rooting for me. Holding me accountable is not betting against me.
That's funny.
Okay. So yes, it was. This was a very entertaining week.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah,
this week.
lots of. Well, not too much yelling, but more like rolling my eyes, and you'll see later in the GIF I chose for this week.
Yeah, I really, really like this week, actually. Like, the past 2 weeks, I was kind of like they weren't necessarily info weeks, but I wasn't crazy about them. But this week, I felt like we got a good... I always like when there's a good mix of characters.
Mm-hmm.
I like different characters coming together, and I also I do like the silliness of, like, the Heaven storyline, but there was also, like, a lot of good drama mine there at the end where I was like, ooh, like, this is interesting. So, yeah.
There was a lot of good drama, several comedic moments where I was like,
callbacks.
And then just callbacks, and then just good soap.
Yeah.
Good soap.
Yep.
Good soap. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Without further ado, it is time to start.
Dishin
Dishin
Days.
Days.
Oh, God. I was way too early then.
But hey, Araceli, before that.
Yes. Oh, duh. Sorry. Sorry. Gotta go through the church announcements. It has been a while for me. All right, everybody, make sure you follow us on all social media. Dishin Days Show on Facebook, at Dishin Days on Instagram, and Dishin Days on Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us here, you're watching us on Facebook, please subscribe. Follow us on all podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and buy our merch, dishindays.threadless.com. Still merch to buy. Look at all that merch.
You still got it. It's still there.
Still there. All right, let's do it. First up, we have brainwashing and backhands. Let's kick this off. We're Gabby. Let's start with the easier one. Gabby, Lee, Wendy, Papa Shin. Papa Shin. I always call him
This
Mr.
is
Shin.
real. I couldn't remember his real. I couldn't remember his first name, and I was too lazy to look it up, so I just put Papa Shin.
I just call him Mr.
Because he's Mr. Shin, right?
Yeah, Mr. Shin.
Is it Wang Li, I think? Or
Yeah, something
Oh,
like
yeah, you're right.
Johnny, EJ, Nicole, Stefan, Brady, Eric, Sloan, Brief, Jada. Okay, so let's start with the first half of this, which is basically anything, which is this kind of all started at the beginning of the week at DiMera headquarters, where Stefan is currently dosing EJ, and then EJ boo-booed. EJ left the office. Then Stefan left the office. Then Wendy's the only one in the office. And then Mr. Shin shows up and says, "Where the hell is everybody?" Which, as an executive, is kind of a legitimate question. You know, your stock goes down the tank and your entire executive team is out for the day.
Your two CEOs are nowhere to be found.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
it's not like they were like working from home. They just weren't there.
Well, to be fair to Stefan, at least he had a legitimate excuse. EJ was just, well, he had an excuse too, but his was less so than Stefan's.
Did he though? Because yes, where he ended up, that was not his doing. But then, going to go see your maybe potential girlfriend.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's you're right.
No.
I forgot what led him there.
No. So a lot of the shins this week, lot of real focus on their family dynamic. You know, a lot of Lee. Oh God. I mean, I can't disagree with that statement. That was how it looked. And I'm going to start with this one because did that make anyone really, really uncomfortable?
It did, actually. I was kind of taken aback by it.
It did, but it didn't make me uncomfortable as years ago when Lucas slapped Kate. That made me uncomfortable. But
Lucas slapped Kate?
Yes. And I just saw a clip of it recently. Someone resurfaced it. It was when Kate really went down. She thought she had killed Victor and was inheriting all of his money. Lucas was going through the custody battle with Sammy, and Kate was basically like, "Victor's money's mine. It's not yours. You can't use any of it to help Will." And he hauled off and slapped her across the face. That's when I was like, "Oh, this one."
Don't you remember that? Wow.
Yeah, this one, it was more of like, "Oh." Like for me, it wasn't uncomfortable, but I was like, damn.
Yeah, it took me back because I realized we don't really see men slap each other. And if they're gonna come to fisticuffs, it's with a fist. They hit each other, and it's usually sparked by some sort of like violent outburst. And this was just like, this was weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain it, I guess, because they weren't in that much of conflict for him to slap him. It was the nature of what he was saying as opposed to how you know what I mean? Like they weren't at each other's throats about to hit each other.
Because you're looking at it as they're two individual men. You didn't see it for what it was, which was what made it so uncomfortable, was a father slapping his son. And the look on Lee's face said, "This is not the first time this has happened, but this is the first time in a long time that it's happened."
That's what I was saying. I felt like it hinted at, like, that's what I think what also made me uncomfortable was like, "Ooh, this is part of their past. This seems like this might be a part of their history." And I don't know if that's where the storyline's going, but I can picture him doing that, even if it's not a constant thing. He's done that to Lee before.
Yeah, and it's something I mean it is unfortunately I can culturally it is one of those things that is very much a part of minority culture where we just do not discuss it.
Yeah.
We don't discuss it. It's not something that necessarily follows into adulthood unless the situation becomes untenable, and then it comes out and it brings you right back. Yeah. So it was very uncomfortable, and watching Shin interact with Wendy was not uncomfortable, but boy did she hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. It was frustrating to watch because he was clearly like he was more concerned about EJ and Stefan not being there, and Wendy's like, hello. And just he would not give her the credit.
And I realized this is the first time we've seen Wendy and Wen together. Because remember, she came on and he comes in and out very sparingly, but this is the first. I mean, we've gotten her perspective of him through Beyond Salem and since she's been on the show. But yeah, this is the first time I believe that he's been on the show with a daughter character, because it's just usually been him and Lee. So yeah.
And Lee, and somebody just said it, that Wendy doesn't get credit from Lee either, because he's all about her. He just kind of is like, he leans on her. She's a better sibling to him than he is to her. That's what I'm trying to say.
She's a better sibling to him than he is to her.
Yes,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
She's more supportive. She goes. She knows that he's batshit crazy, but she's still going and checking on him, trying to support him, trying to reason with him.
When she could just easily dismiss him as he's dismissed her.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's all so we're all Team Wendy. We're always Team Wendy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm also warming up to Lee slightly. Not that
I know. I keep going back and forth. Like the whole thing with the contract and forcing, not forcing Gabby's hand, but kind of like bribing her to stay in the marriage for 6 months, and then being like, seal it with a kiss. I thought that was kind of gross.
I actually didn't mind the deal part of it, because I felt like at least, and we'll see what other conditions he has, because it seemed like they kept piling on as the episode went. And then it was like, oh, we're going to live together too. And I was like, girl, did you read this contract? But I appreciated that it was more of a deal than, have sex with me or something like that. I felt
true. Yeah.
And stuff. So I also liked the idea was, I want you to stay in this marriage for 6 months because I'm actually going to win you over and you don't know it. And you're going to see how much you love me. Like, I actually appreciated that was the crux of the deal. Not like, I hate you. I'm going to make your life miserable. Stay in this marriage for 6 months while I torture you or something. I feel like that's what we get a lot of times. So I at least that it was like, okay, like I'm not Gabby and Lee together again, but I'm like, okay, I'm liking Lee more here.
Yeah.
And it's not like he wasn't, he wasn't, yes, he was blackmailing her, but he's giving up something extremely valuable.
Yeah.
This is a high risk gamble. He doesn't see it necessarily as high risk.
He didn't really,
but it's high risk.
I thought it was a big deal when he agreed to. He was like, "I'm going to give you my DiMera shares." I was like, "Holy crap!" But then he didn't. He was like, "Whatever, they're just shares." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's a little."
Yeah. So he does.
Even his dad kind of,
Oh yeah.
Rode that point home. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this is going to go. If it's actually going to be, if he's actually going to make good on his deal and try to win her back, like in a real way, or if it's going to be conditioned, like, oh, well, no, now the deal's different. Now there is a signed contract, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I like that it's something she can easily get out of if she doesn't want to do it. He's not like forcing her, like, I can send you to jail if you don't comply or that sort of thing. So and also it's interesting too, because I wasn't sure how far they were gonna get with the deal before Jada and Rafe showed up, because I was like, okay, are they going on this path and then the deal's gonna get crushed? Because he's gonna show up and say Rolf is out and we're here to arrest Lee. So they should have shook on the deal. But then again, who knows how far it's gonna go? Are we gonna get them together in a place, or is Gabby gonna see what transpired the last couple of hours and be like, deal's off? So it'd be interesting to see. Yeah.
So yeah, while all of that was happening with the Shins on the other side of town or down the street or whatever, Eric and Brady decided to play Murder, She Wrote with Sloane's shit. How do we feel about, like, what was and I was trying to, and I was paying attention, but I was like, okay, they're doing okay, this is all the plan to get Lee to sign the sworn statement was because not Eric, fuck, I keep mixing up the names. Brady wants Chloe to come back.
Yeah.
That's
his crux. Yeah, exactly.
And then Eric decided to go along with it because he didn't agree with how Sloane was basically sacrificing one client for another.
Yeah, which is, I'm like, how do you guys feel about this? Because there was a lot of discourse about Eric, and did he again, we know he's right in this, but was it like he completely betrayed Sloane too early, or like that had the whole thing happened so quickly? It was so
quickly. Yeah.
I was like, wow, Eric, you really turned on Sloane. And not that he was right.
And how did that whole situation, like, how did what Sloane was doing affect Eric? It didn't.
It didn't, but he's very much, I think,
it affected Brady. Well,
yeah, and I think he's very much in a sense of really wanting to protect his family right now. They're still raw from losing Marlena. He's very much, he had said this. I don't think this has anything to do with Sloane. This is very much about Eric on his journey of being the anti-Father Eric. Where he had already said, nice guys finish last, and what did being honest, being whatever get me. So he's very much on this kick of right now, well, I'm just gonna do whatever I need to do what I think is right. Consequences be damned. If everyone else is gonna be unethical, he's gonna be unethical. That's the kick that he's on right now. So at least it makes somewhat a cyclical sense in terms of, he thinks it's for the greater good of his brother, which I guess is nice to see them on the same side, but this is going to backfire so badly.
It was weird because there were parts of it I did like Brady and Eric teaming up together and sort of really like pushing a plan through. And like we said, it happened like really, really quickly. But I also was like, I was getting more and more into Eric and Sloane. And I felt like with Eric, there was this weird thing where when it came to like the stuff with Sloane and Paulina, he was staying very neutral about it. And like Sloane has her side and you have your side. And, I'm so that seemed, so I thought he would sort of take that approach when it came to Brady, but he sort of jumped right into that. And it was like, kind of like, oh, okay. Like, this is what you're sort of like, this is where you turn on Sloane after everything you've heard she's done or has done.
Right. It felt odd. It felt like a really quick change. And maybe there's a reason for it that hasn't been explained to us yet, which, maybe something else is going on with him. But I did. A lot of people are saying they've enjoyed like Eric and Brady working together. I kind of enjoyed it too. And I enjoyed Eric kind of like, and what was, I think not my favorite part of it, but the part I liked is when Rafe got all in his face about, pulling the switcheroo and saying like, oh, I'm Sloane's paralegal when he really wasn't. And Eric was like, you wanted him to sign the document. I got him to sign the document. You're welcome. I was like,
I like that.
Okay, Eric. Right. I don't like Rafe when he gets all smug and shit like that. That always bugged me about Bo and Hope when they were cops, how they would get all smug and look down on everybody. And I was like, I'm on the criminal side right now.
Yeah, right.
So it's funny how that works. Yeah. But yeah, that moment in the police station, and even Jada was like, well, now we have the let's go get him.
Yeah, that dynamic's interesting because he's essentially helping them, really, but like the feelings,
but the fact that he lied to them
and feelings are getting in the way of them all sort of coming.
Mhm.
I'm like, you all have the same goal here. You want Rolf to sign it. But also, yeah, it's all their personal feelings that are sort of surface level with them.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah, it's very, Sloan and Eric were never really surfaced, but I'm getting annoyed with people saying that this means that Eric is going to go back to Nicole. Guys, he's not going back to Nicole. Eric is in no headspace right now to want to go back to Nicole. Nicole is otherwise occupied, which we'll get to in a minute. They're not in the same place right now. Maybe it'll happen like in a year or months or something. It's not going to happen right now. So chill out.
I don't know. I feel like now
Araceli
that Sloan isn't taking, I mean, if it really is over with Sloan and she seems to indicate that, he sort of isn't busy with her. Maybe he puts all of his attention into getting Nicole. I mean, I don't want him to. I like her with EJ, but I mean,
no, I don't think so. Yeah, does he still care about her? Yes. Are they in the same place? Is he going to want to pursue? He's not in that place right now.
And according to Nicole, she's not going after Eric, right?
No, I don't think that it again could happen down the line, not right now, because Eric they're both, you know what it is? They're both tired of having to explain themselves. And they made good points on that when they really hashed out the relationship, is that they were it was like they were constantly having to explain themselves to each other. And that shouldn't happen with someone you've known for 25 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, as Nicole said this week when she was in bed with EJ, she's like, I don't have to explain myself to you. You just know me. I don't have to I don't have to explain myself to you. I don't have to feel guilty about anything. Let's move on to then EJ and Nicole. I feel anybody else all in on these two now?
Oh, totally.
I've been in on them since, was it like a year ago or
when they first
or a while ago?
Yeah.
When they first started teasing it. And there was a scene in the DiMera mansion where they kissed. And I remember Nicole's reaction was kind of like they kissed, and Nicole kind of had like a reaction, like a weak in the knees reaction. And I was kind of like, oh, and I think it was the first time Dan is EJ and Nicole ever like commingled like that.
Yeah.
This man has chemistry with everyone.
I know. Yeah. We've been saying it since he started. He works well, like a paper bag, and he would know how to, he would do it. Anyway. So yeah, and then Johnny's a little too involved in their relationship. Just like he's always coming in like, and they're always bringing him. Well, it's not like he's coming in; they're even welcoming him in. Like after they like put the robes on, and he's like, "Come on in," and he's like, maybe I should come back another time." And they're like, "No, it's okay." And it's like, well, maybe he's uncomfortable. I would be uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
It was a little much. I didn't mind when he showed up at their door, because I feel like he really didn't know that they were in there together, so that I excused. But when he was talking to Nicole, which by the way, I actually do like their relationship, Johnny and Nicole's, where there's a respect level there. It's like, you used to be my stepmother when I was a young child, which is different when someone is your step parent when you're an adult. So I feel like he has that respect for Nicole, which I actually really like. And they seem to have like a really nice relationship together. And so this is probably where he feels comfortable saying that stuff. But when he said something like, I saw you come out of his room, I was like, Johnny, like, back up, dude. Like, don't, that's a little going a little too far there. Just to say, like, even if you said like, oh, I say you and my dad are getting close, it's nice to see, I'm happy for you. Like something like that would have been better. But he was like, he sounded like a little child there, kind of like, you know, like, oh, I saw you coming out of my dad's room. Like, what does that mean?
I mean, he's still his dad. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. You're still your parents' kid. It's still like,
well, and Johnny's still like in his 20s, right?
Yeah.
He's still like, he's not a kid, but he's in that like point of his life where
he's still living under his father's roof. So it's still uncomfortable.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree that there's a good like respectful dynamic with those three, which is really nice. Which it gave Johnny, and actually, this was like, I feel, you know, we've talked the DiMeras to death, you know, but this is kind of the one subject where I was like, oh, I don't think we've ever really talked about, you know, the DiMeras and drug use. Not like, experimental, like Dr. Rolf drugs that they're obsessed with, but just basic like drugs.
Like, I don't remember a DiMera being like cracked out on cocaine.
Yes.
I don't think we've had other than which they keep referencing. EJ used to be in the drug game. I don't think.
But he was never he never used.
No,
right?
yeah,
he just,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Did the business.
And it was so interesting. I thought that was one of the most interesting conversations I've ever seen EJ have with anyone. Yeah. Where he was like, look me in the eye. I'm telling. It's not like he wasn't trying to convince him. He's like, I'm telling you the truth, and I'm telling, and I would tell you if I had.
Yeah,
it was kind of
it was very honest and authentic.
Yes,
and that's why and Johnny was like, no, my dad was telling the truth, and I was like, yeah, Wendy, if like I was there, I was like, yeah, Wendy, he's telling the truth.
No, I think it was EJ talking to someone who he really cared about and cared what their opinion was. I feel like if this were, say, if it was Rafe who asked him, he would have been like, "I don't do drugs. Get out of my face. Like, I don't have to.
He would have backhanded
answer you, detective, or I don't have to answer you, commissioner." Like, I really felt that scene, and Dan's acting was great, and the dialogue was perfect.
I would have been mad though. I was gonna get mad if Johnny and Wendy, because they had this way of writing Johnny and Wendy that they talk it out and figure out exactly what's going on. Without even looking. They just talk it out. Like it happened before when they were trying to figure out what EJ was doing. I was gonna be really mad because I was like, no, they can't just keep doing that. Like they just figure out what's happening right away. And so I was happy that they kind of went off the trail a little bit, and it was like, oh, I think it was my dad might be using drugs, not my dad is being drugged by Stefan. Yeah. But then turn around, EJ and Nicole figured it out pretty quickly. Yeah. Just from their shared experience of, Nicole got drugged and now EJ's, having the same kind of effect. So they were able to connect the dots, and now they're teaming up to go against Stefan. So
good on them.
And then we can move over to Stefan, who is currently tied up in Eric's bedroom, and Rolf is doing brainwashing via Bed Bath & Beyond with his waffle irons and his electric mixers and whatever he was. I don't even know. I was like, I didn't even want an explanation as to how he was going to do this with all that stuff. I was just like, you know what? Just do it and don't show it. And because then he went in like towards the end with like the tongs or whatever, and then you just saw him in the mirror like
barbecue tongs.
Was, like,
I know they were.
Like, what is he even doing?
Did you guys? I don't know why I thought this. Did you think he was gonna at the end put it on Brady? I for a second thought he was like gonna switch and like betray Brady or something. I don't know the way they kept focusing on, and I understand why they did it so like we wouldn't see what he was doing to Stefan, of course, but the way they had like Eric as Brady sort of stare at the shot of Chloe and talking about you're coming back to me, and I thought for a second it was going to be like
that's the one thing the one thing Rolf didn't use, a landline phone.
Yeah, for a second I thought there was going to be like some weird switcheroo there or like double cross or something, but no, it was
I'm sure a phone line would have. I don't know. I'm sure he could have come up with something. I don't know.
Right. Could have hooked him up. Could have hooked him up to some AOL and brainwashed him that way.
Maybe he could have made the made
a floppy disk from 1994.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he could make Kate's connection stronger.
I really feel like, speaking of Rolf, I feel like this is the week. Like the oh shoot, what's his name? The guy that plays Rolf now. I can't remember his name.
William something.
I feel like he's done a good job of taking over Rolf, but I feel like this week he really sold it for me and just really was like, this was the week where I was like him, love him, want more of him, because he had that, dastardliness about him, but then he was just kind of silly and like the chowder and just the way he was looking, like it was great. He shined all week.
One thing I noticed, it hit me when they were doing those scenes, and I feel like the show doesn't reference. Wait, what was that? What?
It's like, who gave Mama more Araceli?
Where she's calling to get on.
She's like, I know Tony's not there, so I need to text it. I need to call somebody.
But I keep forgetting, or the show keeps forgetting, that Brady and Stefan are cousins, and they're not like, there's no like mention of that. There's no like play into that. I feel like they can inject that in there a little bit.
Okay, Brady and Stefan are cousins.
Through Vivian.
Through Vivian.
Vivian is John's aunt. So Stefan and
there it is.
Yep. Cousins.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Cousins. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
But
I just feel like it would give them another layer since they're fighting
didn't
over
they
Chloe.
just prove that though?
No, the John is and Alamein is always canon. It's his biological parents that have always been retconned. But him being an Alamein is always, that's always part of his history.
Okay, so they're cousins, but like not really, like by adoption.
Well, if Kristen's a DiMera, then he's, they're related. I mean,
it's one of those kind of. It's kind of like Tony and Kristen are brother and sister, but they're not really brother and sister.
Yeah.
Thank God, because they,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, last note that I'll make on this. I don't think Chloe is gonna thank anybody for any of this. This is ridiculous.
If I were Chloe, I wouldn't come back. I'd find myself a new man.
What have I been saying? Get out of here. She literally did what I've been saying for a year. Girl, get yourself out of here, out of this mess. Delete both their numbers.
What do I always say? She found some gays and they are taking care of her.
Mm-hmm. She should just go hang out backstage at the Met and just park herself there for a while. They'll take care of her. She'll take care of them, and then they'll take her for drinks after the shows. It'll be perfect setup. Okay, all right.
What any other notes in that? Well, nope. Sloan showed up and dumped Eric, so they're done.
Yeah, Sloan dumped Eric. Rafe,
kind of,
Rafe
and Jada are kind of in the midst of all that. They were kind of talking about, there was something between them. Yeah, I can't remember what the actual dialogue was, but
they're like getting close. They're like, I feel like the wheels are turning on them about like, can we do this, or is this someplace I want to go? But I want to ask you guys, the Eric and Sloan thing. Once she came in, I was like, oh shit, he's caught, kind of a thing. But then when I felt like his dialogue was interesting because when him and Sloan were together, he was like, listen, it's not personal. I'm helping out my brother. And he was sort of like, get over it. And for a second, I was like, is she going to like take him up on that and be like, screw it, forget it, and bygones be bygone? I don't know. I felt like there was a second there where I thought that it was going to be one of those, I was doing something bad, you found out about it, let's call it even kind of a thing. I don't know. But then she sort of turned and was like, I'm done with you. But for a second there, when they were, I think I was especially surprised by Eric saying that. Like, he didn't say to her, I'm done with you. How dare you do this? He was basically like, I'm helping my brother. Get over it.
Oh, you think maybe he expected her to really just get over it and then continue on?
That's what I'm saying. That's what it seemed like, because he wasn't saying, I'm done with you. How dare you do that? You know what I'm saying? He wasn't outraged at her behavior. She was outraged at his behavior, which I found strange.
Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, I guess I just assumed like he was going to be done with her, but you're right. He never said that.
Yeah,
so maybe he in his. I don't think that was realistic of him.
Can someone tell me? I forget the phrasing he said, but he just said like, let's let bygones be bygones, or he said call it. He said something like that.
Yeah, well, let's call it even.
Yeah, he said let's call it even. So I was like, oh, he actually is still wants to be with her, and it was her that.
Yeah, they're on even ground, kind of a thing. Yeah, I mean, that's just who he is right now.
Yeah.
As I said, he's just kind of in that phase.
Yeah, I kind of liked it though. I liked that he wasn't. He said,
yeah, and her reaction was expected too, because Alex pulled the same thing on her, and she basically said it like, I like being screwed, but I don't like being screwed over.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Yeah. Great line.
Okay, let's move on to the biggie of the week, which is the ladies are not dead.
You have to do the Jake voice. I wrote it in Jake voice very specifically.
You do the Jake voice. I don't know how to do the Jake voice. I'm not from Jersey.
You just read the ladies are not dead.
I can't do that.
And he actually brought it out several times.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I don't miss this.
Oh, so one more thing I have to say. This reminded me of it. I immediately thought of you, Michael Mattis. When did you get the Date Players Band reference in the show?
No, I didn't win.
Where Brady was telling Stefan like he could do something else. He was like, "You could do this, or you could do that, or you could join a band."
Oh no,
Yeah, it was
over
when he
my
was
head.
tied up. Yeah, I immediately thought of you was like Michael Mattis.
I will roll my
his
eyes right now at
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That was even
That's
I
still
don't.
not as obnoxious as some
No.
that they've done.
Yeah,
that's
it
like
was-
that's like low grade. It probably
Yeah.
just flew over my head.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
like Brady.
Yeah,
Rex,
it was like you could
Rex,
start a band.
Brady.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways,
Anyway, back to yeah.
the ladies are not dead. Okay, who had the ladies were not dead on their bingo card?
Oh, I totally didn't think any of them were
I
dead.
had that they were all actually dead, and that I had it kind of that they were going to redo a little bit of what happened in Beyond Salem, where Hope died and came back.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm trying to remember but Bo wasn't really dead. Anyway, I had it that they all really were. Well, actually, no, I didn't have it that they were all really dead. I had it that they were. I first had it that they were all really dead, and that only two of them would come back. And I had a very specific person in mind who I thought was done, and
I was with you on that. I think
off the show, but now I don't think that's the case, and maybe that was their intent to make us think that. Then I had the idea that they were in some kind of, like, if you guys ever saw, I don't want to spoil it, but the movie Don't Worry Darling, the Harry Styles movie, that it was kind of that they were like that they were alive but being kept alive, and this was all like some kind of alternate reality.
Oh yeah.
Which may be kind of the case.
So it was kind of what?
Yeah. I just came up with that like a week or so ago.
Yeah.
At least that's what it looks like, because
they were not. So I think we can say I don't think they were in heaven. I don't think they were in hell. They seem to have been stuck in some kind of in-between place.
Yeah.
And it can't be like, I don't want it to be that it was like just that whole thing was like one of their dreams. Like, was it one of their like dreams while they were in this cryogenic state? A lot of things still need to be explained, but what we do know is that they were alive and being kept by
Megan.
Megan.
Yeah. My understanding was that Megan has them in this deep sleep for whatever reason. We'll find out in this week. But that he was saying that's why sort of Jake came in, because he was saying Nick came in while they were in this state and sort of kind of tried to lay claim to their souls, and that's where the contracts came in. Like, he was trying to like seal the fate of their souls by this contract, because he was taking them from this sort of cryogenic state for whatever reason, but not that they were actually dead or that.
My prediction is that they did actually die, and Megan pulled whatever she pulled and at least kept their bodies safe, so that she could bring them back. Because we saw what happened Beyond Salem. And if you didn't watch Beyond Salem, you have very little time. You've got about a month left until to watch that. Because if you haven't seen what happened on Beyond Salem, boy, you're going to be surprised in about a month's time when you see who is coming back. Anyways, so that's my prediction. And in terms of this is very faith-based, so let's just assume this is where they were. They were somewhere between heaven and hell. And Yeah, what Tyler said. So let's just assume they were somewhere between heaven and hell. Nick tried to pull a fast one on them. Jake intervened. I did not see Jake coming at all. Of all the people that could have come to their rescue, totally out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, there was a lot of information that they get. And the funny thing was, once the sort of heaven scene started, or the purgatory scenes, whatever they were considered, I was kind of like, okay, like, it's now for me starting to get drollsome now. It's like, okay, like, where are we going with this? What's going to happen? And then sort of Jake came in and was like, okay, there it is. And he did there was so much. These were my favorite parts, honestly, of the week. There was so much going on. They did speaking of the Beyond Salem stuff, they did a little bit more of an explanation there when Nick said, you took Bo too early. And then Jake said, oh, yes, we did. That was our mistake. We have now corrected that. It was like, okay, that's a nice spin on it. Cause it was like, okay, how are you gonna explain it a little bit? And I felt like that's what they're laying the groundwork for what we're gonna see in the future. And I thought that was a nice way to like sort of shrink it down and get that information out there. Like, oh, we made a mistake with Bo. Don't worry, we've corrected that mistake. So
Loretta Devine made it happen.
But then they did like a way callback to the past to what we always talk about, which is the utter demise of Nick Fallon. And we talk a lot about how yes, he deserved to die. And this is like every person I came across this week on social media, every person I talked to said, oh my God, we hated Nick Fallon. He needed to die. But man, do we love Blake Barris, and man, do we love that they have found ways to bring him back. And it really felt like this was the first time that they really hashed through all of that and basically beat on the drum that we have been saying, where it's like, Nick deserved to die. We love Blake. We're still very much annoyed that Julie defends him. But then they were like, okay, the writers were like, okay, hey, let's use that. Julie's the only one that defends him. Let's use that. Who could possibly be an Achilles heel to this terrible monster?
And also bringing up why he changed as a person from who Nick was on the show for a good, almost 10 years, maybe?
He joined in 2007. 2006, I think.
Was it that late? I thought it was.
No, because he was remember, he was in the early years with Chelsea and Stefan.
It was like 2007-ish,
Oh,
yeah, 2006, 2007.
I don't know what I'm thinking earlier, but okay, that actually does make sense now that I'm thinking about it. But also bringing up the reason why, and his rape had a lot to do with that, and why how we saw the last leg of his character before he was killed off, like. All of that stemmed back to the rape, and it was funny too because even on social media, I feel like a lot of people were asking, like, he was raped. Like, I feel like a lot of people didn't remember that storyline because they didn't dwell on it a lot when it happened. I felt like they were going somewhere with it, and they did with bringing his rapist on the actual show and having that be a small plot. But I felt like that was such a small part before
because it was overshadowed by his own homophobia.
Yeah, and the obsession with Gabby and the mistreatment, and
and how he still blames Will.
Yeah, that was interesting when he brought that up. I was like, oh, you're still on that? Like you're still blaming Will. But it did. I loved it because it injected some real sort of drama in those scenes that were getting a little like they were comedy and they were getting a little hokey.
They were getting
playing
like
a game of like angels and demons or something. And
they finished it off nicely. Like it was getting a little, the camp level was at an acceptable level, but once the video games came out and he was like, I was like, what is? But then they finished it off nicely. So
like you're not the good place. Don't try to do the good place. We've seen that. I love Blake Barris, but you're not Ted Danson. Please don't try to be Ted Danson.
Right.
So it was a good ending.
Back in, we'll call it the real place, back on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
While Eric and Brady were playing Murder, She Wrote on one side of town, John, Roman, and Steve were doing their own little thing with Orpheus. And luckily, Orpheus gave them a little nugget that it was a DiMera that stole the orchid and not him.
Mm-hmm.
So then it became, who's the DiMera that stole the orchid? And the moment between them and Anna and Tony was probably one of my favorite scenes of the week.
The highlight for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anna and Paulina, I think, were two of the best written characters this week. They cracked me up, and their dialogue was so great and so witty and so sharp, and it was just it made me chuckle, and
I need them to be friends.
I was gonna say we need a friendship.
And when I feel like we're missing, like, I love that, you know, Kate and Kayla and Marlena have obviously formed this bond, but I feel like, you know, what the realistic friendship is, like Anna, Paulina, and Kate.
Yeah, I know, right? I was thinking
totally see that. Martini Mondays, oh my God, I could see it so easily.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to see more of Anna.
Especially because it's like Anna, who were the people that were like heavily involved in, you know, Kate's contact this week? It was Anna, you know, by way of Roman. She 100% believed him.
Yeah.
I was died when she was like, it's like a magic 8-ball.
When she actually turned it to look underneath, I died.
But she was just like, ugh.
But remember, like last week, Anna, I don't forget, last week or the week before, where Anna had said, you should get those checked.
Yeah,
she was Anna.
She was like,
line of the week. You just nailed it totally. And I found, like, this is just yet one of many reasons, but this will now be my biggest reason for approving open casket funerals.
You got to see that body.
Make sure that the body is in there until they put it in the ground. Like they make a big show, like I can tell you, like the whole ceremony, we have the whole ceremony with the rosary and everybody singing and like the prayers, and then everybody stays and watches casket close, and like no, and then we see it go in the ground. No, body needs to be in there. It needs to be the right body.
No, I loved Anna this week, and loved the going down memory lane of all the DiMeras. I was like, can we bring them back on the show? Can we get Peter back? Can we get Steven on the show? Can we, like, I feel like we kind of could use those people. Even when she mentioned Theo, I was like, let's bring Theo back. Like, let's bring all these people back.
Pretty well for himself, but I think Peter, especially with the Kristen connection, he could stand to be brought back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's been talked quite about a few times in recent years. And
I'm thinking of even Steven for like the younger set. We don't have a younger, well, it's not a Johnny, but like, you know, like I said, like every time we do these, we get this younger set. All of them are related. And it's like, okay, you can bring in someone he's a DiMera, so he's related to Johnny, but there isn't another female DiMera there. So it's like, let's mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, we could get a few. So Kate made contact with Roman, got them to stop what they were doing, thankfully, and they eventually figured out that it was Megan. And then second greatest scenes of the week, Paulina. Roman isn't here, but I could take a message.
Take a message?
Oh my God, she was amazing.
Yeah. It was so funny. So funny.
Amazing. Like, I just like I don't have the words for how happy those scenes made me, so I'm just gonna like go back and watch them on repeat.
Yeah, no, it was very entertaining. And then when she was trying to describe to Roman what she was saying, like it kept going on. What was the word she used? It kept going all crackly.
Oh
yeah. Bad connection.
Yeah, bad connection. She hung up. I'm curious what the explanation for that's going to be. Like, if there's going to be like a logical explanation, like, is there a speaker actually in the urn?
Oh God,
or like how that was happening. I kind of need.
Yeah.
I kind of need one.
Well,
I'll eventually let it go if it doesn't happen, but I kind of need some kind of. I do need some logic every now and then.
It's a link between post or alternative Earth and Earth or whatever. It's not supposed to be logical. It's supposed to be faith-based.
This is the one part that
TV
that kind of got me was when they were trying to figure out which DiMera it was, and they were going through all of them, and then Anna and Tony were confused. Like, we just named everyone; it couldn't be any of them. Like, who is it? And John and Steve were like, "We know someone." And then it clicked to me that yes, those two in particular were part of Beyond Salem, but that information didn't carry back to everyone else. Like like Tony didn't know that Megan was alive. Like that didn't even hit me until then. Like I remember that he wouldn't know she was alive, but then when John and Steve were like, we know, and then it clicked to me, they also know because of Beyond Salem, and it was like, oh, well, didn't they come back and tell? Like, I know they're trying to keep those entities separate, but it's like, okay,
Not
now
anymore.
we need an excuse now as to why you didn't immediately come back to Salem and go to Tony and be like, oh my God, your sister is alive. We just had to do, we just were fighting over her, or, we're fighting over her, in Hong Kong or whatever it was.
Wow.
And,
and she is a great villainess.
Yeah.
She's a great villainess, and she's a very DiMera, but she's a different caliber than Kristen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kristen
is totally.
Kristen's very off the cuff.
Yeah.
Where like I think
very reactionary.
Yes, very reactionary. EJ said it, like she's got Stefano's, wickedness, but she doesn't have his temperament.
Yeah.
Megan does.
She doesn't have his temperament, and she's not as she doesn't think. Stefano was very calculated.
Yep.
Yes.
In long term,
Yes.
Very calculated in long term.
Yes, and Megan,
Kristen's very I want to do it now.
Yes, and as we have seen, Megan has had this plan in the works for a very long time. Yeah. While she may have just kind of stumbled onto Kristen's whoopsies, playing around with this orchid and with these three ladies' lives, she picked it seems, what we can predict is that she picked this up and she just made it a part of her larger plan.
Yeah. And also very much Megan and Stefano had that relationship too, similar to like what he had with Lexi, in the sense of they had a really loving relationship, but Megan was very much on board with the shenanigans of Stefano and like, I'm your daughter, I'm gonna help you, you're in trouble, call me, what are we gonna do? Like, she very much was a mini Stefano when she was on back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
This is going to be fantastic. I mean, this storyline is already fantastic this week, but man, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how much more, because, we get the previews, we see, we get what everybody else sees in terms of what's coming up on the show and what gets released to like the magazines and all that. They've managed to keep quite a few things like surprise. So I'm just, obviously it's been revealed every day for the past 2 weeks that Bo and Hope are coming back. Like the date has been released, everything. We know Bo and Hope are coming back. But I'm just wondering what else we're in for that we don't know.
And actually,
because they've been really good about keeping things under wraps. So that's what kind of excites me about this and the show as a whole, is that things can now happen that we don't expect.
And now that you bring that up, Michael, I'll bring up that I was actually annoyed that they kind of did that, because I was like, I didn't want to know when they were coming back. I just wanted to show up one day and they're back. But
the
now
thing
that
is, in
you
terms
have
of
said
marketing the show, like having Bo and Hope back is like they couldn't keep that under wraps. They had to
you gotta publicize
use that as the
I think it annoyed me the amount that they were doing it.
Now
that you say that, now my wheels are turning, and now that makes me think that there was a reason that they're doing that, because as you said, they've kind of pulled a bait and switch where it's like, oh, this is the big thing we're focusing on, but then they have a few surprises up their sleeves that we didn't know about.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
now I'm like, oh, okay, what don't I know?
Yeah. There's a lot of
And they're planning
Yeah.
something for Deidre's 5,000th episode, which is coming up sometime. I think there's like I can't remember how many episodes until they're doing something for that too. And who knows what they're
There's a lot of I mean, there's just so many milestones coming up in the next year, good and bad. Bone Hope are coming back. Deidre's anniversary is coming up. Nicole, Ari hit her 25 years, so they kind of briefly mentioned that as well. We'll be saying goodbye to Victor Kiriakis in the next year or so.
Yeah.
Doug mentioned I don't know if they'll celebrate this, but he recently mentioned, he made a mention to Chad. Yeah, I'm almost 100, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, he is almost 100.
Yeah. We can, celebrate his 100th.
He's a young 100.
That
but,
would be amazing. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, he's 100, and I'm gonna. We didn't. I don't know if you guys mentioned it when I wasn't here, but I saw the video of them putting the contacts on in Bill Hayes' eyes for his return to the devil role.
Oh no, we didn't.
There was a video online on social media of them putting the contacts in his eyes, and I'm like, Bill Hayes, I love you even more for this, because if I make it to the age that you are now, if I am lucky enough to make it to almost 100 years old, nobody's sticking anything anywhere in me.
You're CGI those things. I'll show up on set.
Yes.
CGI. Don't, yes.
Do it in post.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, you can do it in post. That's not happening. I don't even like to wear contacts now. Even wearing them when I'm in my 90s? Heck no.
No. I think we have a lot coming up that's going to be interesting, especially even with this, like I said, this Megan storyline. We still don't know why she has those three. We don't know why she took the orchid to sacrifice them. We have an idea. I think it's connected to Bo and Hope and maybe ushering and finishing what she started, but also, whatever she's deriving from these three women, she's possibly using for that, but who knows? Who knows who else is coming on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When are we going to get... Now, I know we love to talk about, are these the Peacock episodes or the whatever? We still haven't gotten, like, at Day of Days, it was revealed, like, their swearing is getting, more four-letter words or whatever. We haven't seen that yet. And how slowly, yeah. Like we've seen, like, longer episodes or varying times, but
I think we're already
I'm curious to see how much, if any of the show will change, because they kind of said it would a little bit.
I think we're already there. I think even if we, like, from when they announced it, it's been 6 or 7 months. The timing was always late February,
we're there.
Possibly early March. I feel like we're already there. It's just going to unfold slowly. The little things that they're, it's like they're probably not going to.
It's not going to be Netflix.
50 swears in one episode to signify. I don't think we're going to get a signifier.
No.
Yeah.
No, we're not on Netflix.
I'm not saying it's going to be Netflix. I'm just saying, like, I guess I'm going by, I haven't heard the swear word yet.
But
someone
for me,
someone at Day of Days was like, I got to say asshole the other day. I was like, I haven't heard asshole yet.
It probably went over your head.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would have heard it. I feel like I would have heard it because when Hope, the first time the word shit was said on Beyond Salem 2, I was that
was a little bit more pointed too. That was, But also, we have officially gone into longer episodes. If you got noticed, it's always now, they're definitely past the 32, 34. We're into like 40, 42. One was even 44. There were a few episodes that were 40 minutes. So to me, I feel like we're already there. Just the F word.
I can't see. I don't think Marlena has to. No.
Why not? I mean,
she has to be really angry.
She's been through some shit already, and now she's going through this. So this would be
the time to use it.
Exactly. Like, I wouldn't judge her or anything for it. I just don't. I just feel like Marlena. I feel like that's more a Kate thing than Marlena.
Yeah.
I could totally see her waking up and be like, "You effing DiMera's like, I'm now dealing with you, Megan."
I want to hear it.
I can't get Kristen's ass out of my goddamn house now. Now I'm stuck here with you.
I got Kristen in my goddamn house. I'm in the fucking incubator. I'm fucking possessed again.
It's like, wait, Megan from the 80s, 30 years ago? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
This is all to say we're really excited.
Yeah.
This is
all to say that we're very excited, we're very intrigued, and we're looking forward to what's going to happen.
Fantastic.
Genuinely.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's move on quickly to the one storyline which I wasn't here for last week. Thank God. But we know we got the official goodbye from Allie. She has officially taken off. She is gone. We got a quick goodbye for her and Chanel. Who else thought this was so stupid?
I actually kind of liked that they were able to say goodbye to each other. I thought
I liked the
left and Chanel was going to find an empty apartment or something.
But I hated this so much. I hate the way that Allie has been written out.
What that she just latched on to Will and Sunny?
I hate that she latched on to Will and Sunny. I hate that. I hate everything about Allie in the last few months. I'll be honest.
And what, like?
I hate that she latched on to Will and Sunny because she basically screwed everything up here. I hate that she cheated on Chanel for not even a legitimate reason. Not that there's a legitimate reason for cheating, but it was all in her head.
Yeah.
Like
it was her insecurities got the best of her.
Yes, she cheated on Chanel because she was insecure. And then she kept trying to blame Chanel, like saying that it was all her fault. And then the post conversation when Chanel found out that Allie had indeed cheated on her. I wasn't satisfied with that. I felt like it was a lot of I'm sorries and no real explanation, no real talking through the issues. Which
do you feel
leads
like
me to
Allie? Sorry to interrupt. Do you feel like Allie didn't own up to the insecurities? Like we all see it.
Anything.
But like, do you think maybe like she didn't realize it for herself?
No, yes, because the way that she phrased it was, "I screwed up everything here," but I'm like, peel back the onion, honey.
Yeah, it's not just about the action; it's about why. It's about why you.
Why are you constantly at your brother's throat when he's really done nothing to you? Why did you feel like Chanel was going to cheat on you when she is not known as a serial cheater? Why did you feel like it was okay for you to revert to your 20-year-old self and to be doing shots with a friend who very intimate shots with someone who is not your girlfriend? Why do you feel like you can just take your son and move to another country because your brother happens to be there? Why do you feel like you can quit your job? Which, I'm sorry, isn't she? But correct me if I'm wrong. She acted like she was just an employee? Isn't she a co-owner?
Yeah, she's really a partner in it.
She's a partner in that business. So you're leaving your business to pick up and leave to another hemisphere with your very young child.
It was
great if you're a full-grown adult who has their life together. Clearly, this is not that.
It was odd. It was an odd way to write her out. I'll agree with that. At the same time, I wasn't overly upset about it either.
Yeah,
I would like to see Allie I would like to see Allie grow a little more rather than she fucked up her relationship and now she's bailing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, but who knows? Maybe this is they do this with characters where, they did it with Rafe. He was off the canvas for 6 months. They've done it with Stacy / Kristen / Susan for a couple times, It could just be a temporary, like Dorinda on Housewives, like Allie's on pause. And maybe, after a few months, they'll unpause her and she'll come back.
Yeah, but I need it to make sense. I need it to make sense. And nothing about her behavior the last few months has made sense to me.
It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Like it makes sense to me. Not because I went through exactly that, but I can understand the youth, like what am I trying to say? like the insecurity part of it, I guess I can understand, and how your insecurity sometimes causes you to do things that you wouldn't, that just causes you to be reactionary and not make the best decisions. Like, I can understand that part of it. Do I say it's right? No, but the mentality, I guess.
Yeah.
Poor Henry.
So it made sense to me because, you know, like I've said before, she discovered something about herself in the last year. She jumped into a relationship right away. Probably like her first series, and then they made the decision to bring a third person in. And I remember, I think I made a comment. I was like, this is going to lead to insecurity in the relationship. And that's what happened. It happened with Allie because Chanel, you know, was a little more experienced in the relationship and with the same sex part of it too. And so I'm like, okay, I don't agree with what she did, but I kind of understand the mentality behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Allie's gone.
Immaturity and insecurity.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. So the original title of the storyline was, who's going to live in that apartment? So I pose the question, who's going to live in that apartment now?
Because it's Nicole's apartment, right?
It was Nicole and Eric's apartment, and then Nicole was living there with Allie for the longest time. She married Rafe. She moved out. It became Allie's apartment. Chanel moved in, and now nobody lived there.
So it's Wendy's still technically there. So she's going to take it over.
I guess Wendy could take it over. It could be. Realistically, I'm thinking Wendy and Chanel would be ideal.
I was thinking Chanel. Yeah, Wendy could say to Chanel.
Oh, because Chanel's still around. Yeah.
So, Chanel's not staying with Paulina and Abe indefinitely.
Got it. I forgot that part of it.
Well, then it also brings in the Johnny factor too, which is, you know, the elephant between those two people. So for dramatic effect, it would make more sense.
For Johnny to move in there?
No, I'm saying for Chanel and Wendy to split that apartment. Because then Johnny is still in between those two even though he's technically moving forward with things with Wendy. Chanel is still a factor.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be okay.
Yeah.
I support that.
Yeah.
And Wendy's got a paycheck; she can pay rent.
I know, right?
Doesn't have to stay on the couch.
Yeah.
As if anyone I mean, really, like, no one can afford Listen,
look,
Brady,
Johnny doesn't have a job right now. The least we could say about Chanel and Wendy is they both have good jobs.
They're working women.
They are working women. Yeah.
They don't need no man.
Nope.
They don't need no sugar daddy. Mama.
Too funny.
They can be the sugar mama.
Nah, let's not go that far.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was your week of days.
That is.
That was it.
Yeah.
No tidbits.
That was it. No tidbits.
Oh,
that was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot just there. Okay. So before we move on to our segments, I want to just remind everyone quickly to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on, just follow us on the socials, at Dishin Days on Instagram, Dishin Days on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube, like this segment. We are on all the podcasts. We are also on Threadless, dishindays.threadless.com. Buy your merch, get your merch. I don't know for what's the next major holiday? Easter.
It is Easter, yeah.
We don't have any egg related stuff. Sorry. Okay, let's move on to our segments. Tony is not here, so we will not have 3 snaps this week. Let us start with Michael Mattis's Caption That.
Caption That.
All right, this week's Caption That photo comes courtesy of Jake and Nick. Almost said Blake. Nick. In wherever they were. And this week's caption goes to Vanessa Avila on Instagram with her caption, "I wish the heat from hell would take the wrinkles out of my shirt." And at the last second, I realized that Brandon Barash put his. Hang on,
did he?
Pull it up really quick. He put his own in like at the very last second, and I meant to put it in, and then I had my laptop issue and forgot. So let me pull it up, because I just remembered right now. I think he posted it on because Blake reposted it, and I think so. So honorary mention to Brandon Barash who commented, Jake, I just farted. Nick, I know.
Oh, that's good.
How very on brand that Brandon made a fart joke.
Yes. Yeah.
Love it. Classic. The classics never die.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's good.
That is good. So thank you, Brandon, and thank you, Blake.
That was awesome. And that was this week's
Caption That.
And now we move on to
Those were the days.
I'm taking you back to February 21st, 1995, where we had Vivian give birth to Philip. Again, for those who don't remember the storyline, Kate and Victor were having fertility issues and were looking for a surrogate, and Vivian decided that she would steal Kate's embryos, have it implanted into her, and that was her way to produce a child for Victor and to sort of get in with Victor and get him, sort of win him over essentially from Kate back then. So yeah, ironically, this is the second time this has happened to Kate. The first time was with the twins that she didn't know about, Rex and Cassie, and then the second time with Vivian stealing them away. So yeah, the birth of Philip, which was by Vivian by way of surrogacy.
Those were the days.
those were the days. And now it's time for my segment.
It's a gift.
And this week's It's a Gift goes to Mr. Shin and what I can only describe as constipated face. Or the face that I made every time Brady was interacting with Rolf this week.
This actor is so good too. He nails this part. Yeah.
He's a veteran too. He's been he's one of those actors that pops up in everything. I remember him way back on he was in like 2 episodes of The Golden Girls. He played a judge on The Young and the Restless when I was interning there. And I actually said, I was like, oh, you did episodes of The Golden Girls. And he was like, oh, you remember those? I'm like, yeah. So yeah, he's a good get with that guy. I actually wouldn't mind him sticking around. Like,
yes,
he has a new dynamic.
Yep.
Yes, I want to see it.
Especially now that the kids are there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was this week's
It's a Gift.
And now we move on to news and gossip.
Yes.
News and gossip.
Starting off with news and gossip, we heard a little info through the grapevine that Greg Vaughn may have contracted COVID, that he's going to be out from taping for a week or so. So we just want to, we hear it's not very serious, but all well wishes and get well soon to Greg. They are actually bringing in someone to replace him for a couple weeks, but we will talk about that later on this summer before those episodes air. But as far as we know, it's they were in the middle of a storyline and really need to bring in someone. And Greg, of course, need the time off to get well. So well wishes. We will update you on that casting when it gets closer. It's probably going to be end of summer. I think those episodes will air in August. So those of you wondering, they are still 6 months ahead and are still keeping that schedule with people. So yeah, just a little some get well soon to Greg, and hopefully he's feeling better and is back on set in the next couple weeks. So.
And next up, we have some casting news for our very own Victoria Confel. She has been cast in a new horror film, Scared to Death. If you're a big fan of horror, make sure to support her when it comes out. I will just be sending good vibes. I don't do horror. But kudos to Victoria.
Yeah. Good for great when people are working. Yeah.
Booked and blessed. Love to see.
Yes.
Yes. Next up, we have some more information for the day. Okay. Oh,
whoops, my bad.
That's okay. The Day Plays brand. They have been on this extensive, really successful tour that they just keep adding dates here and there, and it's just been working out for them and just great for them. As we mentioned before, we saw them live here in LA when they played during the weekend of Day of Days. They were great. There's so much fun.
Very good.
a really fun interactive show. But go check them out if they are near you. Go see them. The last few days that they have on their tour before they wrap up. They're April 22nd, they're in Royal Oak, Michigan. April 23rd, they're in Batavia, Illinois. And then May 6th, they're in Montreal, Quebec. And we'll keep you posted if they add some more dates to that. If they extend it into the summer, we'll see. But yeah, they're just on a roll with these. They've added a few since we even last talked about them a couple months ago. So yeah, if you have an opportunity, go see them. They're a great band.
And then next up, we have an upcoming interview with Days Vets, Crystal Chappelle and Michael Sabatino, who real life married couple, who played the REEL real married couple on Days of Our Lives. What was it?
Carly and Lawrence.
Carly and Lawrence, before Carly offed Lawrence in 2010. Listen, I want to. You should tune in because I want. And somebody asked the question in the locker room that it'll be March 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific Time, and in the locker room on the YouTube channel. And I want to, please, audience members, if you have a chance to go and get in that chat room, please do. I want somebody to ask the question of what it was like filming those scenes, because they're a very happily married couple.
Yes.
But she really looked like she wanted to stab him. She wanted him dead in those scenes. So I really want somebody to ask the question, what was it like, stabbing your husband?
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so that's upcoming, and that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, and now let's move on. Let's look at a promo for next week. For those who haven't seen it, you're in for a treat.
It's Megan, right? Phase 2 will begin very shortly. Some twit at the courthouse lost Xander's divorce papers.
You and Sarah are still husband and wife.
I'm pregnant.
We're having a baby.
And that was the moment Sarah shit herself.
Right.
You saw that, like, oh.
Okay, all right. So last week it was Brady that just drove me up the wall. This week it's going to be Rux. Because it's like, honey, you're a doctor. You're a doctor, right?
This was the
Why do you assume? Why do you assume it's yours?
Yeah.
That's very, like, I feel like that's very accurate of Rex, though, to think like she couldn't have possibly been with anyone else. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's
he knows she was married to Xander. Yeah.
But you can do math, right?
Yeah.
But no, in his mind, no. Like it's yeah. I think Rex is that kind of care, the selfish, like we've seen it before. Like he's cheated on her multiple times, only thinks of himself. So yeah, it makes sense that he would automatically be like, oh no, she couldn't have banged someone else because she banged me.
I love the drama of we lost the divorce papers. Like, why would that matter? Like, sign a new pair. Like, you just turn them in. Like, I can understand if this was 6 months ago and it was like the clerk lost your papers, then it's like, oh, like we thought we were divorced, but you just signed divorce papers a week ago. Like,
and she wouldn't even be able to lie about the timing wise. I'm guessing it's Xander's baby. She wouldn't even be able to lie about it because that was a huge chunk of time.
There was a huge time difference.
Huge chunk of time. Like,
well,
again,
it could be Rex's too. I mean, it guess depends on. Well, for more dramatic effect, I guess it makes more sense. It's more dramatic if it's Xander's baby, but it could be Rex's.
I mean, I guess, but so I'm hoping that he makes that statement, not knowing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody does, like the doctor doesn't come in and say, and you're this week's along.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
yeah,
that'll be next week. We get to see what Megan's plans are. That I'm excited about.
Phase 2.
Phase 2. What's phase 2? All right. that's it for us, guys. That was our Dishin Days for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we head out, I want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. Dishin Days Show on Facebook, at Dishin Days on Instagram, and Dishin Days on Twitter. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're here anyways. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you weren't able to catch us live, you can catch us there during the week. Take us out for a jog. Take us by the fire if you're somewhere where there's a blizzard warning. Please buy our merch, dishindays.threadless.com. We've got sweatshirts if you're chilly. Yeah, you can find them there. And that's it. And also, make sure you follow Michael on Instagram and Twitter.
At ML Mattis.
Yes. And make sure you follow Justin.
On Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And make sure you follow me, Araceli, on Twitter at Tia323 Araceli. I'm not moving yet. And follow Tony, who's not here, but everywhere at Lounging with Tony.
Also follow he's Tony's chocolate twin. He's not our chocolate twin.
Yeah.
He's Tony's chocolate twin. JLJ Media on YouTube for all of the, how does Tony put it? All of the
block or
yeah, his soap block. He does all the other, he does GH, Bold and Beautiful, YNR, and a lot of other shows too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, James, that was a bad plug, but go follow JLJ Media on YouTube.
He has a lot to talk about, especially this week. A lot of soap fans have a lot to say when our news makes mainstream media news.
Oh, I'm confused.
Yeah, what?
The entire writer's breakdown for the
and the rest of this thing. Yeah.
The
Got it.
whole
I
thing.
wouldn't know it.
That was oh boy, that was something.
Yeah, that was something.
That was something. Yeah. So go to JLJ Media. Tony Chuck will have a lot to say about that, I'm sure.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Okay.
All right, guys.
And that was our show. Thank you guys for joining us. Bye-bye. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.